Right now, there are over 8 billion of us. We built globe-spanning civilizations, walked on the moon, and connected the world with instant communication. But what if I told you that all of this, our entire existence, once hung by the thinnest of threads? What if I told you that around 74,000 years ago, a single geological event plunged the world into a frozen nightmare, and the population of our direct ancestors crashed to a number that could fit inside a small town? This is the story of how we almost didn't make it. It is the story of a supervolcano, a dying world, and a handful of survivors who fought for existence, ensuring that you and I would one day be born. Let's wind the clock back 74,000 years. The world belonged to our ancestors, but not to them alone. Homo sapiens were clever and adaptable hunter-gatherers, sharing the planet with other human species, including the tough, stocky Neanderthals across Eurasia. Our ancestors lived in small, mobile groups. They crafted tools from stone and bone. They hunted game. They mastered the revolutionary technology of fire. They were learning, spreading, adapting. They had no idea the greatest test of their existence was simmering beneath the ground, halfway across the world. On the island of Sumatra in modern-day Indonesia, a geological titan was stirring, a supervolcano we now call Toba. When Toba erupted, it wasn't just an eruption, it was an apocalypse. The largest volcanic explosion the world had seen in over 2 million years. It unleashed a force thousands of times greater than the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. For nearly 2 weeks, the volcano blasted colossal clouds of ash and sulfur more than 45 kilometers into the sky. This wasn't just smoke. Superheated ash clouds raced across the land, hotter than 1,100 degrees Celsius, incinerating everything in their path. The volume of material ejected was staggering, enough to blanket the entire Indian subcontinent in ash. This ash was a suffocating plague. Rivers clogged. Water turned toxic. Air became unbreathable. For life caught in the fallout zones, death would have been swift. But Toba's deadliest weapon wasn't its fire. It was its shadow. Sulfur and ash wrapped the planet in a veil, reflecting sunlight back into space. The lights began to go out on Earth. A new and terrifying age had begun. A volcanic winter. For years after the eruption, the world grew darker and colder. Sunlight struggled to reach the surface. Temperatures dropped. Climate models suggest global cooling lasting years, followed by prolonged cold conditions. Plant life withered under dim skies. The food chain began collapsing from the bottom up. Herbivores starved. Predators followed. Silence spread across ecosystems. The world grew colder, darker, quieter. Genetic research reveals something astonishing. When scientists examined human DNA, they discovered a striking lack of genetic diversity. There is more variation in a troop of chimpanzees than among 8 billion humans. This points to a genetic bottleneck, a moment in our deep past when the human population crashed dramatically. Some estimates suggest our numbers fell to just 3,000 to 10,000 individuals worldwide. Perhaps only 1,000 breeding pairs stood between humanity and extinction. Humanity stood on the edge of disappearing forever. For decades, scientists believed the Toba eruption caused this collapse, a simple story of near annihilation. But as archaeologists dug deeper, a far more complex and inspiring truth emerged. This is not just a story of survival, it is a story of resilience. And yet, against impossible odds, humans endured. If the world had become a frozen wasteland, how did anyone survive? The answers lie buried in the ancient soils of Africa and Asia. At sites in South Africa, such as Pinnacle Point, microscopic glass shards confirm the timing of the eruption, yet archaeological layers show people living there before, during, and after the event. Incredibly, human activity appears to have intensified afterward. Innovation increased. Adaptation accelerated. Even more remarkable evidence comes from Ethiopia at Shinfa Matema 1. Here, seasonal rivers shrank into isolated water holes. At first, humans hunted animals drawn to these precious water sources, but as conditions worsened, they adapted. Fish became easier to catch. Their diet shifted. Their behavior evolved. Faced with crisis, they did not cling to old ways. They changed. They innovated. They survived. Archaeologists also discovered small, sharp, perfectly symmetrical stone points, likely arrow tips. If confirmed, they represent the earliest evidence of archery, dating back 74,000 years. Faced with environmental collapse, our ancestors did not wait for rescue. They invented new ways to live. Their greatest weapon was not strength, it was intelligence. New evidence suggests the eruption's effects were not uniform across the planet. Some regions suffered catastrophic devastation. Others, particularly parts of Africa and India, may have experienced less severe impacts. The emerging story is not one of helpless victims, but of clever survivors navigating a changing world. The Toba eruption may not have been the only close call. Recent genetic studies suggest an even more severe population crash occurred around 900,000 years ago. During this time, the breeding population may have fallen to just 1,280 individuals and remained that small for over 100,000 years. Our history is filled with close calls. We are the descendants of the lucky few and the relentlessly resilient. The Toba event did not wipe us out. Instead, it may have strengthened the very traits that allowed Homo sapiens to thrive: adaptability, cooperation, innovation. Some scientists believe the seasonal rivers our ancestors followed became natural pathways, guiding migrations out of Africa and into the wider world. Their survival shaped our future. The story of Toba is a humbling reminder of how fragile we are. A single event, driven by the deep mechanics of our planet, can bring any civilization or a young species to its knees. But it is also the ultimate testament to human resilience. When faced with a dying world, our ancestors did not surrender. They adapted, they endured, they lived through darkness and ash, so their distant descendants could build civilizations, explore space, and connect across continents. Our existence was never guaranteed. It was fought for in the cold and the shadow 74,000 years ago. If the story of our survival moved you,